Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eric Kind, and this is former Miss USA Lynette Cole.
Hi, Eric. We are here in Little Italy, the heart of Manhattan.
Welcome to Wise Guys on Texas Hold'em.
Video 2, Advanced Strategies for Winning.
Our instructor today is an undisputed heavyweight in poker, Robert Varconi, the 2002 World Poker Champion who won $2 million. Robert, it's great to have you here.
Hi, Eric. It's great to be here.
Now, Robert, on our first video, A Beginner's Guide to Texas Hold'em, we covered the basic aspects of the game. On this tape, Advanced Strategies for Winning, what can we expect?
Advanced Strategies for Winning is for the player that's already familiar with the game of Texas Hold'em and wants to improve his or her play. If you play Hold'em and you want to play better, then you've come to the right place.
Let's get started then, shall we?
Tonight, we'll be playing 2-4 Texas Hold'em. This means that the bet and raises on the pre-flop and flop will be $2, and on the turn and river, the bet will be $4.
We've assembled a great crew of wise guys to help us guide you through the advanced strategies of Texas Hold'em. Please, let's bring out our good fellas.
Vincent Pastore, Frank Vincent, Vinny Vela Sr., Willie Garson, Fisher Stevens.
Now that we have our players, let's get on with the game.
We know everyone knows how to play, so the focus will be on how to play better.
Hey, Lynette, let's do a fast review of the game.
Texas Hold'em is a community card game, meaning that some of the cards are dealt face up in the middle of the table and shared by all the players. In Texas Hold'em, each player is dealt 2 down cards that are theirs alone, also known as hole cards. A round of betting follows the hole cards. After all the betting is complete, 3 cards are dealt face up in the center of the table. This is known as the flop. The 3 cards in the flop are community cards, shared by all the players. Another round of betting follows the flop. Then a 4th community card is dealt face up, called the turn. Another round of betting follows the turn. A 5th and final community card is dealt face up to the center. This is called the river. After all the cards have been dealt, there is one final round of betting. Adding your 2 cards to the 5 community cards, also known as the board, adds up to 7 cards total that you can use. However, you can only use 5 cards to make your hand. So now that all the betting is done, it's time to show your cards. This is called the showdown. Rob's rules of winning. Number 1, have fun.
Rob's rule number 2.
Stay in the hand with playable cards based on your position at the table.
Here's a little something to help you out. Lynette?
Here are the top 10 starting hands in Hold'em. Number 1, ace, ace. Number 2, king, king. Number 3, queen, queen. Number 4, jack, jack. Number 5, ace, king suited. Suited means the 2 cards have the same suit. Number 6, 10, 10. Number 7, ace, queen suited. Number 8, ace, jack suited. Number 9, king, queen suited. Number 10, ace, king mixed. And since we use ace, king twice, let's throw an 11th hand into the mix. Number 11, 99.
Those are the best starting hands.
As we said in the beginner tape, you can stay in with any pair or 2 face cards.
But now we're going to get a little more sophisticated and give you some more hands to play with.
Position, position, position. Play with playable cards based on your position.
Now, as we learned in our beginner video, there's a rotating button which represents the theoretical dealer. After each hand, it rotates clockwise around the table. A forced bet is then required by the next 2 players immediately to the left of the dealer. This bet is called a blind. The player immediately next to the dealer on the left must make a blind bet of 1/2 the minimum bet.
And this is called the small blind.
The player 2 away on the left of the dealer must make a blind bet equal to the amount of the table's minimum.
and this is called the big blind.
The first 3 players after the big blind are in what's known as early position. The next 3 players to act are in middle position. The last 3 or 4 players are in late position before the flop. Of these, the last 2 are the players with the forced blind bets, who already have some money in the pot before it's their turn to act. They're in a peculiar situation and a category of their own, because although they're in late position to act before the flop, on the later rounds of betting, they're in early position. Since the button rotates, as a player you'll be playing at all positions. The hands that are best to play vary according to position. Here are some simple guidelines that are easy to remember. The playable hands for early position are a pair of 7s or higher, 2 face cards, or a face card suited with a 10. In early position, you can't play as many hands as you can in later position because there are many players to act after you who may raise with better hands.
You don't want to risk money unless you have a strong hand.
In middle position, you have more information from the actions of the people in early position. So in middle position, in addition to the early position hands, you can also play some weaker starts if nobody raised. To the list of playable hands, you can add pairs of 5s or 6s and all suited aces. You have some information about the table, and it all depends on how the players before you bet or didn't bet, whether they acted strong by raising or folded.
But there are still players following you, the players that are in late position.
In late position, you have the most information. The later your position at the table, the more information you have, and the fewer people you have to worry about acting after you. If nobody raised, then to the playable hand list, you can add the pairs of 2s, 3s, and 4s, kings suited with any card, unsuited face cards with a 10, and the so-called suited connectors such as 5-6, 6-7, 7-8, 8-9, and 9-10 suited. However, in late position, the blinds are a special situation where they start out with money in the pot blindly, before they even look at their cards. This gives them an incentive to stay in hands after someone has raised with all but the weakest of playable hands. That's the good news. The bad news is that they've got the best position pre-flop, but after the flop, they're in the worst position because they become first to act on all subsequent rounds of betting.
In late position, you have the advantage of seeing what the others have done before you. So let's say you're in late position. Do you have to worry about people betting into you or raising in early position?
That's the nice thing about late position. You've either seen most or all of the people act, and you know where you stand, and now you can respond appropriately based on the strength of your hand. In the blind, since you already have some money in the pot, you can call a raise with all but the weakest of hands.
In late position, when the action gets to you, if everyone ahead of you folded, then any of the good late position hands can be used to raise and try to win the pot right there. If not, then you still have a good hand which you can see the flop.
In late position, when the action gets to you and everyone either called or folded, the good hands can call, but the great hands should raise. When you're playing your position, what you should be most concerned about is the player that raises before it's your turn to act. That player's trying to tell you something. By raising, he's usually saying that he's got a great hand, he's trying to get some money in the pot, and possibly trying to narrow the field of players against him. You have to try to figure out whether he does have a better hand than you or not. If you're pretty sure that he has a better hand, then fold. If you're not sure, then call. And if you know you've got him beat, then re-raise. Ideally, you'd like to be the first one to raise and put the burden on everyone else to figure out how their hands stack up against yours.
We're going to let these guys play and break down their game for the viewers at home, telling you what they've done right and what they've done wrong, and how to know the difference between the two.
Okay, ready?
So Vinny Pastor is sitting with the great hand of Ace and Jack of Diamonds.
But do we have to...
And moving over to Frank Vincent's hand, well, he's got a pair of cowboys, 2 kings in the hole, and it looks like Fisher has 5-7, awful hand.
Make a distinction.
Yeah.
I say two.
He calls.
Not a good move on his part. He doesn't have a playable hand at this time, and he should fold. And this brings us to Rob's Rule 3.
Fold, fold, fold when you have a bad hand.
Now tell me, doesn't a player still have a chance of improving his hand by staying in?
There's always a chance, but what you want to do is play when chance and odds are more favorable to you. Here's something to remember. If you're playing with 10 people, on average you'll win about 1 out of 10 hands. You'll certainly play more than 1 out of 10 hands, and even though you may start out in 3 or 4 out of 10, You shouldn't find yourself going too far in more than 2 or 3 hands out of 10 unless you're on a major winning streak. If you're in more hands than that and you're not winning, then you're not folding when you should be. Okay, Frank is making the right choice here.
He has a pair of kings and he's re-raising. But why should he be re-raising?
He should re-raise because this is Rob's rule number 4. Always protect the big pair before the flop. So raise to get some money in the pot, as well as to narrow the field by chasing some people out. It's better to win a smaller pot than to lose a big one at the end. This brings us to the next most important skill you have to learn.
Reading the board.
This is a segment where we want to practice reading the board and comparing them to our hand and what we'd like to have in our hand. The overpairs, aces, kings, queens, jacks, and tens are still good hands with this flop, even though they don't connect to it. Other hands from the playable list are ace-9 and king-9 and 10-9 suited, that partially connect with this flop, giving you the top pair. Now we'll go through all the hands with both hole cards connected with this flop. Although some players may play anything and an unraised big blind could be holding anything, let's note which of the following hands are actually on our playable hand list. These playable hands are what you should be most concerned with. At this point, the nuts hand would be 9s in the hole, giving you 3 9s, also known as a set of 9s, or top set. Next would be 8s, giving you the middle set, followed by 3s, giving you the bottom set. The sets are all great hands and likely winners at this point. Here's a 9-8 that is playable if suited and in late position that would make the top 2 pair. A 9-3 would make top and bottom pair, but note that this is not on our playable hand list. 8-3 bottom 2 pair is also not one of our playable hands. Next, let's go through the open-ended straight draws. 10-Jack gives us the top straight draw with a playable hand. 10-7 gives us the second best straight draw, but this isn't really a playable hand. And 6-7 would give us a bottom straight draw, however this is only playable in late position when it's suited. Now here's another flop to give you a little practice. Let's see if you can guess which the best hands are. If you said 4-4, giving you 4 of a kind, or Jack-Jack giving you full house, you were right. And so the flop comes out here, and it's an 8 of diamonds, 3 of diamonds, and a jack of clubs. Frank Vincent still has a lead with a pair of kings in the hole, but Vinny Pastore has just matched his jack, and he also has the nut flush draw. So Vincent Pastore is going to bet, and it looks like Frank Vincent, yes, is going to raise his overpair. An overpair is a pair in the hole which is higher than any other card on the board. So now Fisher folds his 5-7, which is a good idea. He shouldn't have been in there in the first place. So the turn card comes out, and it's a 2 of clubs. Now let's just freeze for a second and analyze what the board reads for Vincent Pastore. So he still has a pair of jacks, and he's also got the nut flush draw. The 2 of clubs doesn't do anything for him. Now what he has to worry about is Frank having a possible set, possibly 2 jacks in the hole, 2 8s in the hole, 2 3s in the hole, or 2 2s in the hole, and he's also got to worry about that overpair, which Frank does have. So Vincent Pastore checks, and it looks like
Oh, 4, I'm sorry.
Frank Vincent he's confused on how much to bet. He's been told 4, and he does put down 4.
I was trying to go easy.
Right. Well, you know what? You can
Trying to
do
go
easy
easy,
you
they
want.
like
Easy does it, you
That's
know?
the rules, though.
The river card is a 9 of spades.
And again, we ask ourselves, how does the board still fit your hand? In this case, the board doesn't really change anything.
So Frank Vincent is actually going to win this whole thing as long as he stays in the hand with his pair of kings. So Vinny Pastore checks, and it's over to Frank Vincent. And he certainly is going to bet with his pair of kings. And it looks like Vinny Pastore is going to call.
Top gun? I got a top pair.
Loves that Tom Cruise.
You gotta explain that top pair. Top pair. Overpair.
And Frank throws down his overpair of kings to show who's going to win the hand.
Sorry, Vin.
Hey, you know what, Frank? Whenever I work with you, you always have the lead and roll anyway.
Hey.
Frank and Vinny had a classic heads-up game, meaning one-on-one, mano y mano. Let's take a few typical heads-up situations in which people find themselves and their odds of winning before the flop. Ace-King unsuited is a 3-1 favorite over Ace-9 unsuited. This Ace-9 has what's known as a kicker problem. Looking at your hand of Ace-King unsuited, right now you're pretty much looking at a 60% advantage over your partner's hand of 9-10 suited. So they're a 3-2 underdog.
When you occasionally find yourself in a heads-up situation like this, The pair is always a slight favorite over the ace-king unsuited.
Looking at your hand of Jack-Jack versus your opponent's 7-7, you must understand that you have an 80% advantage. You are 4-1 favorite over the hand of 7-7.
Those are just a few of the situations you may come across. Similar situations in heads-up play will have similar percentages.
Let's recap what we've learned so far. Lynette?
Rob's rules of winning. Number 1, have fun. Number 2, position, position, position. Play with playable cards based on your position. Number 3, fold, fold, fold a bad hand. Number 4, protect the big pair. Number 5, understand how to read the board. 5A, how does the board fit your hand? 5B, how might the board fit your opponent's hands?
Let's move on to a little more advanced strategy.
Pre-flop, Vinny Vell is in early position, Vinny Pastore is also in early position, and Frank is in middle position. Fisher is in late position with Willie on the big blind.
It's on me. I fold.
Fold.
And then Charlie folds out as well. And we move over to Vinny Pastore, who's got a pair of 5s in the hole, and he's going to call the bet. And then Jim Bonney folds. And Frank Vincent calls with a pair of aces. Now, Frank might be making a mistake by only calling and not raising, since he does have the best possible starting hand. He's got to protect that big pair.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Jim Toohey, and he's going to fold out.
I'm going to check.
And then Fisher, who comes in with a pair of 8s, and he's going to call the bet. And Willie Garson's got 10 jacks suited, hearts, not bad, so he's going to check in the large blind position.
Repeat of rule number 5. Always understand how the board fits your hand and how it may fit your opponent's hands.
And that doesn't really give anybody else much of anything. I mean, Frank has really still the best hand, which is a pair of bullets in the hole. And Willie's just going to check on the out bet. He's the first to act. And then Vinny Pastore also checks. And Frank does the right thing by betting his pair of aces, in which case Fisher calls. And so does Willie Garson. Everybody calls Frank's bet, and we've still got 4 players slugging it out for this pot.
And this brings us to our next rule. Let's say that you, the viewer at home, suddenly find yourself in Willie's shoes right now. You look down at your hand and realize that you need one more card to make a flush. To draw or not to draw? The answer is a definite maybe. A good rule of thumb for a flush or an open-ended straight draw is the following. If you're up against 3 or more players on the flop, or 2 or more players on the turn, then there's going to be enough money in the pot to make it worth your while to call. This is what's known as pot odds. So in Willie's situation, it's a good idea to call because there's enough people putting money in the pot. In a little while, we'll show you why more people staying in works out better for some drawing hands. At this point, it's not a good idea for Willie to raise for 2 reasons. 1, he doesn't want to chase out any players out of the hand. And 2, why should he cost himself money when he doesn't have a hand yet?
Okay, fine. So that's pot odds. But what are the outs?
Your outs are the number of cards that can give you a hand. In other words, help you out. The number of outs you have determines what kind of pot odds you need to stay in.
Here is something that everyone will remember. For example, if you have a flush draw, then there are 9 outs, or 9 cards that can help you complete your hand. When you have a flush draw on the flop, you have a 35% chance of completing your hand by getting one of your outs on the turn or the river.
On an open-ended straight draw, there are 8 outs or 8 cards that can help you. After the flop, you have a 31.5% chance of hitting one of your outs on the turn or river.
In other words, a flush draw and a straight draw have about a 1 in 3 chance of success. Well, what if you have both a straight draw and a flush draw together?
If you have both a straight and a flush draw simultaneously, you have 15 outs. After the flop, you have a 54% chance of hitting one of your outs. In this case, because you have so many outs, it's worthwhile to play against even one player.
Willie has about a 35% or a 1 in 3 chance of making his flush.
Those are great odds when you're in a hand with 3 or more other players putting money in the pot. Even with only 3 other players, Willie's being paid odds as if he only had a 25% chance of winning. That's an extra 10% incentive for Willie to stay in with his flush draw. We've run a simulation to show you what happens after playing this flush draw the same way 100 times over, against one player and then against 3 players. In both cases, you lose the same amount of money on 65 hands. However, when you're playing against 3 or more players, you're winning big enough pots on your 35 winning hands to come out ahead at the end, as you can see from our table.
Let's get back to the action of the game. And then finally, Vinny Pastore. So the turn card comes out, and that is a 4 of hearts, completing Willie's flush.
Now, if you're the other guys and you see 3 hearts on the board, you have to be concerned that someone may have hit the flush.
Now, Willie has a great hand. Why is he checking?
He's being tricky, and he knows Rob's Rule 7. Go to Plan B, the check raise.
Now, wait a minute. What was Plan A? When you have a great hand on the turn in the river, Plan A is just go ahead and bet it. Now, if everyone just called, then you manage to get 1 bet out of them. Now, once in a while, somebody raises and you can re-raise and get 3 bets, but usually you can't count on that happening.
Now let's go to Plan B, the check raise.
So he's got the jack high flush right now, and obviously nobody else has anything, so he's going to check, and it looks like he's going to try to pull the old check raise. See what happens. And Vinny Pastore, he checks as well. And again, since these are all low cards, Frank Vincent puts out the...
Check this. Check on it.
In which case,
Frankie says checks in the mail.
Fisher calls.
And that's it.
And then, just like I thought, Willie Garson does the raise. He check raised everybody. Vinny Pastore calls on that. And Vinny Pastore's got a open-ended straight draw here. But unfortunately, what he doesn't know is that he's drawing dead against Willie. Now, what drawing dead means is that there's not one card that will come out that's going to make a hand that's better than Willie's. And Frank is drawing dead too. And here's going to be the river. And that's a 7 of clubs. So that solidifies it for Willie as long as he stays in the hand. And I'm sure... Well, no, he checks. That's a surprise, but maybe he's afraid of a possible 4 of a kind with the 7s or a possible full house. So everybody else checks around, and Willie lays down his flush.
Now rewind that particular hand. Let's change just 1 card. Take 1 of the hearts out of Willie's hand. Now he's sitting with 1 heart in the hole and 3 on the board.
So Willie checks, then Frank bets, and Willie completes his check raise. Now he's check raising with nothing. It's a complete bluff.
That's right. He's pretending he has a great hand. This is a good move if you sense hesitation or weakness in your opponents.
Vincent Pastore folds out. He falls for the bluff. Now, bluffing basically is just representing a hand that you don't actually have. Willie, all he had was a jack high. He did have the flush draw, but he was representing flush. So Frank Vincent folds out, and Fisher next, and he goes out. And Willie does it. He bluffs everyone out.
You know what I have?
Now, you have to have an eagle eye to catch a bluffer. But this was a great example on how bluffing can work for you. He had great pot odds, and he took this pot down with a bluff.
But bluffing can also burn you if you're not careful, which brings us to Rob's next rule for winning.
Rob's rule number 8. Profile your opponents.
This is one of the most important rules of the night. Always remember, you're not just playing against other hands. You're playing against other people.
This person is known as The Rock. Now, this guy only plays premium hands. You have to have the goods to beat this guy because he's only in hands when he has a winner or close to it. He's not going to bluff so much, so when he bets and raises, believe him. Remember, this guy is only playing top hands. This guy is known as the calling station. He calls a lot of hands but almost never raises or folds, so don't try to bluff him. This guy's here to give money away, so just play well, and when it's your turn, accept his donations. Here's what's known as the maniac. He raises a lot of hands but almost never just calls. This guy will play almost anything. He's always looking for action. You can lower your starting standard hands with him because he's usually playing too many hands. This is the kind of guy that can make the game expensive and exciting. Now, this is the player type that you really have to watch out for. He's known as the Fox. This guy always seems to have the right hand at the right time. It's like he's psychic. This is the guy that everyone's always talking about being so lucky or a chip magnet. He's an experienced player that knows when to hold 'em and when to fold 'em. He makes very few mistakes. Of course, he doesn't win every hand or every session, but he probably wins at least 2 out of 3 sessions. When playing a fox, you have to bring your A game. You have to think like a fox to beat a fox.
Tell is something a player says or does that gives away their feelings and intentions. As an example, let's look at the players once again. A lot of players wear sunglasses to cover up their eyes. You know the old cliche, the eyes are the windows to the soul. Well, this player, his eyes are wide open now. Now you have to confirm whether this guy plays a good hand or a bad hand with this kind of expression.
This is a tell where Jim Bonney can't look at another player because he has a good hand. Notice Jim Bonney's looking directly at the dealer, and then he covers his cards with his hand like an animal protecting his food. Let's watch that again and see if you can tell.
Check.
This tell is when a player looks you directly in the eye, calls, bets, raises. Overconfidence. If he's overconfident, it doesn't necessarily mean he has a good hand. A very easy tell to see is when a player is happy all of a sudden he turns very, very, very serious. In this situation, Willie has caught something on the flop that's making him think about what he has to do to make the next correct play. Another type of tell is when a player looks at his chips as if he has a marginal hand and doesn't know whether he should bet. Well, believe me, if they're going to put this face on, he's got the goods.
Or is it an act?
Raise.
When a player is usually very boisterous or very loud at the table and all of a sudden becomes very, very quiet, he's trying to keep a low profile so it doesn't draw any attention to himself. Watch what happens. You can see his thought process. This player probably has a very, very good hand.
Vinny Vella barely looked at his cards before he came out shooting, and based on past observations, this usually means he's got a big hand. Let's see that again. Now you have to remember, for some players, this means that they're trying to represent the big hand and they're trying to pull off a bluff.
Take a look at this guy.
Call.
He's the whole package tell. Everything is miserable about this hand. His body language, the way he picks up his cards, the way he puts down his cards, and then his call. He just is miserable with his hand. Watch this guy closely. There's a thing called a verbal tell, when a person cannot help but indicate what they have in their hand. If you watch and listen very closely, you can see as well. Listen to this guy.
We raise for luck.
He knows that luck has nothing to do with this particular hand. He's going to say for luck, or he's going to try to make you think that he has a bad hand, when he knows that he has the goods. Let's revisit an old tell.
I raise.
The overconfidence. He's practically telling you that he does not have a hand. Overemphasizing one way or another probably means the opposite. These two tells are as obvious as they come. First, you're going to notice that he's going to physically shake his head when he sees what comes out on the board, and then he's going to cover his mouth up because he knows he's about to lie.
8-10 of clubs. Nice hand.
Unbelievable.
It's your bet first.
4.
Let's revisit another old tell. This player is not going to be able to look at any other players because he has a good hand, so he's only going to sit there and stare at his chips.
2 bets.
Reset.
This is a similar tell to the overconfidence tell. This player has not a care in the world, and why should he? He's got a great hand underneath.
Everyone has tells, and they're all as different and individuals as each player, but they're there. Good players try to hide their tells, but the more you play with someone, the more there is to hide.
So you have to keep an eye out for your own tells as well.
That's right. Watch other players when you're not in the hands. This way, you can strictly focus on them and not your hand.
Your starting hand of ace-10 suited is a good starting hand. but it's not nearly as good as ace-king suited. It's one of the top 5 hands. It's going to give you a potential kicker problem. When the flop comes out ace-4-5, you can see that your 10 is not going to beat your opponent's king. Here's another potential getting into trouble situation, where you find yourself with a pretty good hand like queen-jack of diamonds, but run into somebody with something like king-10 of diamonds. Then you think you've got the kind of flop you were looking for, a nice flush draw. The turn gives you the second best flush, but the problem is second place pays nothing at this game. On the river, you're drawing dead because there's not one card in the deck that can help your queen flush. This would be a good time to get an accurate read on your opponent and save few bets by not playing too aggressively. This is what we're going to call another getting into trouble hand. The straight versus the nut straight. Looking at your hand of 5-6 suited, 5-6 of spades, you know that it's a pre-flop playable hand in late position in an unraised pot. Now when you look over at your opponent's hand of 10 jack suited, hearts, they have a pretty good hand, and they're going to definitely play that. So we're going to have to be very, very careful how we're going to play this. So when the flop comes out, 8 of hearts, 7 of clubs, 9 of diamonds, we don't have to worry about a flush, but our concern here is that we only have the third best straight, the 5 and the 6. The second best straight would be the 10 and a 6. And we know the nut straight being the 10 and jack of anything. We have to bet cautiously in this circumstance because we know that there are 2 other better straights out there. Let's get back to the game. So right now we have Vinny Vella acting in first position. He's got queen-queen, and he is just going to call. That's amazing. He should actually raise that to protect his big pair in the hole. That's a very good pair. It's the third best hand, and he should definitely protect it by raising. So Charlie goes out.
How much?
Vincent Pastore asks how much, and he folds out. Too much for him. Jim Bonney goes for his chips, and he calls with ace-king unsuited, another great hand. Frank Vincent goes out. Jim Toohey, Fisher.
$1, staying.
And Cha-Cha throws it in.
Cheap bastard.
Tired of this shit.
Run 'em, my fine dealing friend.
And Willie Garson checks. He checks with 2-3. Wow, see, that is not a hand that you usually want to stay in with. And if Vinny Vella had raised his bet, he probably would not be in with that. So the flop comes down, ace of diamonds, 4 of clubs, 5 of diamonds, and that gives Willie Garson the nut straight right now. And he is going to bet that, absolutely. And Vinny Vella just calls. And Jim Bonney raises, as he would since he does have the top pair with top kicker. And Willie thinks about it for a moment.
Case for your hand. I'm going to call you.
And he calls the raise.
2 more stand.
I'm in.
That's right.
And so does Vinny Vella.
It's getting serious now.
I'm thinking of a card.
It is getting serious.
Oh.
Queen of spades.
All right.
So the queen of spade comes out on the turn.
$4.
Willie's going to bet it. He's very happy about
Hold on a
this.
second. I'm in and I raise.
Oh, and Vinny Vella raises with his trip queens.
To the roof.
It's a challenge.
Still does not know, obviously, that Willie Garson has the nut straight.
Call you.
You're up.
And Jim Bonney goes for his chips, and he calls.
Call.
And, of course, Willie Garson's going to call that.
No. I feel very
It's fearless.
moist.
And the river card's going to come out,
It's moist with goodness.
and that is the king of clubs.
Well, I have the best hand.
Well, Willie Garson claims that he has the best hand, when actually
bet
that
4.
is the top straight, which is 10 jack, queen, king, ace. He's only got the wheel, which is the ace 2, 3, 4, 5. But Jim Bonney is going to go in with that because he thinks he's got top 2 pair.
Wrong movie.
Hey, who said that?
He said it to
Duval.
And it looks like Willie is going to
I'm going to
call that bet.
Jack one.
Godfather.
Who's he?
Oh, right.
And so is Vinny
I'm in.
Vella.
Robert Duval and
Oh, what was his name?
No.
So we come down to the showdown.
look at this. I got 3 queens.
Not enough.
How about a baby straight?
Baby.
And Willie Garson calls out the baby straight, the wheel. Ace 2, 3, 4, 5.
Vinny Vella made a mistake pre-flop by not raising his big pair of queens. It let in the big blind into an unraised pot, who got lucky to flop the baby straight and win the hand.
time for a little pop quiz. Let's see how fast you can calculate the outs for this hand. If you said 14, you were right. That's 4 sevens, or 4 queens, 3 tens, or 3 jacks. So it comes around to Willie Garson.
No, my friend, the bet is
And
$4.
he's going to raise, and with every right, he's got ace, ace. He's got the bullets. And it looks like Vinny Vella's going to call, and he has a king of hearts and a 10 of hearts.
Not anytime.
And Charlie and Vinny Pastore fold. Jim Bonney folds.
When you got bad cards, what are you supposed to do?
It's up to me.
And Frank Vincent looks at his cards.
$4 to me.
$4 to you, sir.
Come on, you're
Florida
welcome.
guy.
And
Okay.
he calls. And Frank Vincent has a great hand of ace, queen suited clubs. Jim Toohey folds out. Apparently Fisher Stevens got a little glimpse of Jim Toohey's cards.
2 more?
So Cha-Cha looking like he might call this bet.
2 more.
2 more.
Judge.
I'm out.
And Cha-Cha folds out.
You know how many mini cannolis you gotta sell to clear $2?
1.
What, you could get a cannoli for $2?
So the flop's going to come out, and that's an
Alright,
ace of
now.
hearts, queen of hearts, 10 of spades. That is giving Vinny Vella
It's a mini.
a
It's a miniature.
You got the
flush draw, straight flush draw, actually. And that gives Willie Garson 3 aces.
Unbelievable.
To me, it's 4.
And Frank Vincent has 2 pair.
$4.
An 8.
Top 2 pair.
I'll see.
You gotta give me let me your phone. Remind me to call my sister.
So the bet by Willie Garson, Vinny Vella calls, Frank Vincent calls. And brings us to the turn of a 3 of hearts, and that is going to give Vinny Vella the nut flush.
How much, 4? All right, hold on a second. Wait up, hold on. It's 4.
Come on.
I raised
So
it.
Willie Garson bets 4, Vinny Vella raises appropriately.
Take his money tonight, huh, Vinny? Take his money,
Let's see
please.
what happens.
He's weak over there in the hand.
You gotta watch out for the little guy in the corner.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, Villa?
Yeah,
Oh.
the other corner.
You mean the munchkin?
I call.
8 bucks.
And the river comes out, very beneficial to Willie Garson. Comes out with another 3,
33.
giving Willie Garson
Bet.
the best full house.
All right.
Trey,
I'm in.
see Trey.
So Willie Garson bets. Vinny Vella calls with the flush.
That's it.
A little bit scared of the
Showtime.
2
I
3s on
got
the
a
board.
flush.
It reveals the flush.
He's got 5 hearts. 5 of the same suit.
Almost a royal
Aces
flush.
over here.
And Willie Garson shows the full house.
Jack for royal flush.
You lose with that flush, that beautiful flush you have?
Let's freeze for a second and check out 3 other potential betting scenarios for Willie Garson. 1 where he bets, and 2 where he checks. See what the outcome is. Let's take a look.
$4.
So Willie bets out, and
Was it how
Vinny
much?
Vella, sitting with his
I raise.
flush, raises it up.
Frank, come on, I got a pension coming. 8, huh? It's 8. I'll see it.
And Frank calls it,
Take it up again.
and Willie's doing the right move. He's going to re-raise, knowing that he has the top full house.
How much?
It's gonna cost you 4 more. Put a
I'd
tax
call.
on him, Vinny. Put a tax on him.
Bang him. I'd go.
4 to me?
And Vinny's just going to call, and so does Frank Vincent, I think.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, Poppy Fresh.
Pillsbury Doughboy. What do you got?
I got a flush.
8.
5
Ace-
hearts. Good
ace is
boy,
up.
Vinny.
How'd you get that?
Wow.
And in this situation, he's going to win 3 bets. On the last situation, he only won 1 bet. Now he won 3 bets from each of those players, increasing his money bank.
So many mini cannolis. Look at
You
that.
can get a lot of cannolis with that.
Worth of mini cannolis.
Mini canola.
So let's stop for a second again, and we're going to see what happens when he just checks it. Now he's going to go for the check raise. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Check.
Everybody checks around. That way, he doesn't get any bets. So he wins 0 bets as compared to the last time where he
Got a
won
flush.
3 bets from each person. He doesn't win anything.
You weren't supposed to check.
And as he calls it, you weren't supposed to check. He wanted them to bet, but they didn't.
Sucked in.
Suck us in.
So I'll freeze for one more time, and we'll show you the last situation where he's going to win 2 bets. He's going to check appropriately for the check raise, somebody else is going to bet, and then he's going to raise them. Let's see how it works out.
No, my friend.
$4.
That is $4.
Raise
And Vinny Vella falls for the trap.
I'm in.
What'd your mother call? Make you so mad.
Left them on a
Frank Vincent's going to call it.
Let's raise it.
And the perfect check raise from Willie Garson.
See what happens.
Raise it.
Hey, you opened the door. I walked through.
Once.
All right, I'd call.
And Vinny Vella reluctantly calls.
That's right.
Intriguing.
Flip 'em over.
Aces
And
up.
so does Frank
I got a
Vincent,
flush.
shows his
I got a
aces and
flush.
queens.
Side flush.
Even
Flush
more
here
no
for
good.
Ah, you dirty.
And
Get out of here.
Willie
boat.
Garson shows the boat, the dirty boat.
Believe this guy. Set in the city.
The luck factor. It just kicks in sometimes. Even the very best hand, like a pair of aces, loses when it's a big favorite against one other player. It can lose against a garbage hand like 4-6, or it could lose against even a better hand. The random luck factor, it's a part of the game that you learn to appreciate and accept. However, in the long run, a pair of aces will win more money than any other starting hand. Even though the aces make a set on the flop, they take a bad beat on the river with the baby straight.
Here's another situation where luck becomes a factor in the end. Your starting hand of ace-ace is a big favorite over your opponent's hand of queen-queen, about a 4-to-1 favorite. So when you move over to the flop, and a 9, 10, and 5 comes out, obviously aces are still in the lead, queens are still the underdog. At that point, when the turn comes out, and we see a 2, we know that we're going to have a hard time hitting the next card, which should be a queen. There's only 2 outs for that. But when it comes up on the river, we realize that sometimes good hands can beat a better hand right on the river.
Rules of winning. Number 1, have fun. Number 2, position, position, position. Play with playable cards based on your position. Number 3, fold, fold, fold a bad hand. Number 4, protect the big pair. Number 5, understand how to read the board. 5A, how does the board fit your hand? 5B, how might the board fit your opponent's hand? Number 6, remember pot odds and outs. Number 7, sometimes go to plan B, the check raise. Number 8, pay close attention to your opponents. 8A, identify the tells of each player. 8B, identify the type of each player.
Today we covered Limit Hold'em live game advanced strategy. I just wanted to note that other variations of Hold'em like pot limit, no limit, and tournaments, although very similar, they each require unique adjustments in strategy.
So, should everyone follow these rules exactly?
Absolutely not. These are good starting guidelines for advanced play that leaves plenty of room to play with your own personal style, especially in many of those fuzzy situations. For example, if you like to play more aggressively and you find a hand where you have something, but you're not sure if you have a winner, you'll probably tend to bet, raise, or re-raise more often. But if you like to play a little more conservatively and you're unsure about your hand, then you'll be more likely to check, fold, or only call more often. And there's nothing wrong with both styles as long as you think about what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Parting thought, Robert?
These guidelines should give everyone a good start on advanced play. There are millions of possible scenarios when playing Hold'em, covered in volumes of books. We don't have the time to cover every situation and strategy, but we've covered many of the common situations that you'll see at the poker table. Like all disciplines, This is something that you have to work at in order to excel. That's why Hold'em is so popular. It takes minutes to learn and a lifetime to master.